pickle of, literally I woke up at 10 a.m. and me and my writer Morty, big shout out to DJ Morty Coyle, who
Hey.
he's loves you. Oh my God. Well, I'll get into all that. But
Wait,
then
you're East Coast.
I'm in New York. Where are you?
Okay, I'm in Los Angeles. So I was like 10 o'clock was like 7 minutes ago when you woke up.
Are you doing anything on Sunday?
Sunday. Yes, but what's happening?
Well, because I have an idea. Let's see if you hit it off with me and you're like, dude, this guy rules. And then I'll ask you the question. I don't want to ask it yet, but
Okay.
I'm a huge fan. Two, I think everything I know about you from the outside external is just like, dude, this girl is awesome. And one of my friends who also wears glasses is like, I told her you were going to be on the podcast, and she was like, oh my God, she's the queen of the blind dimes. She's just the hottest girl. That's what she calls hot chicks with glasses, blind
That's
dimes.
cute. I like that.
Yeah, it is. And so here's the deal. The whole morning I have been, and yesterday I have been just inside everything Elvis Costello, everything Lisa, everything Elvis. And then 3 minutes ago, I just found out Paul McCartney is playing at the Bowery Ballroom, which I know I can only assume you've played it. Yeah, you've had to have played the Bowery Ballroom during.
I think so. I don't remember everything. I used to live on Bowery.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see. Oh my God. I could imagine. Was this at the height or was this pre?
Yeah, well, right before, like 1992.
Oh my God. That's so
1991, too. Something like that.
Isn't that crazy when you say, because I'm 45. I know you're a little bit older than me, but still it's like, God, it feels like yesterday, 1992. Like I see Janine Garofalo, all the time at a comedy club I perform at. And it's just like, she still looks exactly like Janine Garofalo. Like she hasn't changed. She's still a rock star. She's still adorable. She's still like 3 inches tall, but but then you talk to these people and like, when you say 91, it's like, it's crazy. And so, cause I don't feel old and I don't think it's old. And it's, And so, yeah, so it's like, and then like, so I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, sitting down with Lisa, doing Elvis Costello. And then Avery, a former writer and guest on the show, sends me that Paul is playing at Bowery. And I have to go. I have to go. I mean, I saw the Pixies at Bowery. I've seen the Killer.
Yeah. Go ahead. Why is he playing there? Why is he playing at Bowery?
Okay. Because well, yeah, I mean, didn't you ever do that, Lisa? Like, can I call you Lisa or is that too much?
No, but you can call me Lisa.
Lisa, perfect. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Lisa's like my best friend from when I was born calls me Lisa.
Okay.
Like we were friends. Our parents were friends before we were born, and they were pregnant at the same time. She calls me Lisa.
Can I call you Big L?
If you really want, you can.
So yeah, you must have done something like that. Like, did you ever, when it was really rocking, just play like a super intimate venue and just to be there with the fans?
Yeah, sort of. I remember hearing in the early 90s, I remember I feel like it was the Lemonheads. They did like a surprise secret show, but it was so secret and surprise people didn't show up because the word didn't get passed around. So I didn't want to do one of those.
Too secret.
I haven't really done a lot of secret shows because that always seemed like a warning, like, oh God, how secret can it be? But I have done things like I noticed that oh my gosh, what's her name? I'm so embarrassed. There have been other musicians I've seen who've done this, but we used to do this where we'd be in a hotel and they were having the after party of a wedding or something like that. And then we'd have our guitars and we'd walk over to the bride and groom and I'd be on tour maybe with me and one other musician. We'd get out our guitars and play a song as if the parents had hired us to do a special song at their after party, and they would freak out.
Oh my gosh.
So that happened a few times, but Taylor Swift, she did it. I heard she did it after me. I don't know if she heard that I had done it, but
She's like,
it's just I think it's something a musician thinks about when you walk in a hotel and there's all these people around, and either sometimes they notice you, sometimes they don't notice you, but they're all having fun with, your era of music or whatever,
mhm.
and you're like, "Ooh, I'm gonna surprise them and make their parents,
I love an intimate
really happy."
show. I love when I love the surprise show. I love the intimate show. I That's why I don't do festivals, because I hate, like, if I want to go see a band, I go see them. I don't
Yeah,
need 45 other bands with them. And when it's an intimate show, they that's when they I feel like that's when they're connecting. Dude, I wasn't a
it is.
fan of the Killers, and then I saw them at the Bowery Ballroom. And I mean, I was like a fan, like in the sense of
Yeah,
like, yeah, like I dig their stuff. Dude, that was it. Now, I saw that show, changed everything. I saw the Pixies at Bowery. I've seen Beck at Bowery. And to see someone like Paul, I mean,
that's
I'll
beyond. That's beyond.
yeah,
'Cause I
man,
saw Killers here in a similar size venue, and they were amazing. Um,
amazing.
and yeah, I just think that I it's funny, our family ping pongs between, my kids are really into a lot of different bands and a lot of different artists, and
Mhm.
so, like, we've been going to Austin City Limits Festival for a couple of years, and, the first year it was like, oh, so exciting. We'd go from stage to stage and walk and walk and walk and be on the side stage and, all this stuff. But then we realized to see the artists they really wanted to see, like this year, they had to sit in the audience in one spot for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
Be in a place where they were close enough to kind of see it, and we had VIP and stuff, but you had to have special VIP with the special
Mm.
special laminates, and, it was tricky, and I realized, "Oh, right, this is why you buy tickets to regular shows, so you can, like, go see that artist, like you said, and you know where you're gonna be sitting, and you don't
Mhm.
have to, like, be stressed out about it, and but it is really costly, like, and you start getting used to it.
Yeah.
Like, even when you're buying tickets to the band, I mean, it's really costly, and, although it's more guaranteed great seats, but, it's a big I remember, I mean, I have boxes back there with tickets from old concerts, the $17 ticket, the $12 ticket. The
Mhm.
Police, is like $17.50 or $25 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the price of a beer now.
Yeah, like, it's
Yeah.
parking. I went to go see my friend Pamela DeBar, 2 nights ago. She did a one-woman show, and her husband, Michael DeBar, came up at the end, and she read from her book, I'm with the band. She's, like, a famous groupie and a great writer and teaches writing as well, but she did her show, and, I went to see the show. I went to go park. It was $25 for, like, just random valet. I
Yeah.
mean, come on.
Makes
And
it's
the guy was, like, laughing, and the guy at the valet is like, "Oh, this isn't expensive for Sunset Boulevard." I'm like, I don't know.
I
I don't
know. And you've got to keep that into consideration, like, you know, going a night out for a family or a couple, like to
Yeah,
go to a concert,
it's hundreds.
it's hundreds,
Yeah.
and
Babysitting, 20 to $30 an hour, food, everything. I know when I'm on
everything.
stage, I think about that. I'm like, "Ooh, people have paid a lot of money." Like, they not only bought the ticket, but they did this whole other thing, so it better be good.
It better be good.
Better be.
And
Yeah.
Lisa Loeb brings it
That's true.
every time.
I
Crowd
do.
surfs,
Yeah.
dude.
Don't crowd surf, but I'm, metaphorically crowd surf. I check out what's going on. I know what's happening.
Have
I
you
know
ever
what's
had
happening there.
have you ever I mean, before I want to get into what we're gonna get into, but now I'm like, have you ever had like a mosh pit at
Yes, I have. They have had to break
really?
up fights, yes. Or
Well,
if
fights
you
I
actually
see.
listen to my music, there's actually a ton of rock, and we played in a lot of standing rock venues,
Mhm.
and so anything can happen.
I love that. Oh, I
Now
love that.
now people whisper, and I'm like, "Excuse me?" Like, that's my version of a mosh pit, people talking to each other. "Excuse me? What can I help you? What's going on out there?" Yeah.
So I mean, just going by my notes, what I found out, you were born in Bethesda, Maryland, which
Mhm.
I don't know, me and Jeremiah,
Woo!
the dude in the corner, we're both DMV guys. We're both Germantown. So
Okay.
little
I
bit,
don't
little bit
know a
more
lot
north.
about it. I don't know
Sure.
a lot
You moved when?
like 71 or something. I
Oh
was
wow,
just there
yeah.
for a couple of years. My dad was, that was the military time, 1968, and so he's a
Mhm.
doctor, and he was um, at the, what is it called? Walter Reed. It was called, the
Yeah, Walter Reed. Yeah,
yeah,
the Walter Reed
it's
Hospital.
not
Yeah,
called
yeah, yeah.
Walter Reed anymore, but it was the, the naval hospital, and, that's where I was born. And then we
Oh,
moved to the next place where my dad was studying, which was San Francisco area in Marin County back in the olden days, and then down to San Diego area, and then back to Texas where my parents are really from, and that's kind of more of their hometown.
oh, I dig that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was like, there's something about, even though I know you were there for not very long,
I
but
know.
there's like, that's such
The
a,
whole
it's
DC
a,
thing.
I love DC. I love where we grew up. You
Yeah.
know, my parents, well, when my dad died in 2010, my mom
Oh,
moved to the Eastern Shore to be around my sister. And now it's like the middle of nowhere. And it's hard because I love Maryland. I love it. And I especially love that area. But even though you're there for a few years, I know that you get it. And what is it? I don't know, but I know you got
yeah.
it.
I do love traveling around. I did play in Maryland recently, but that was more by the water. I played with my band. Some OAR was that in Maryland? OAR
Oh, it's
festival.
you did that festival at
Yeah.
Ocean City, Ocean's
Yeah, that was
Calling.
great, yeah,
Oh
but
my
that's
good.
very different that's different from Bethesda. Bethesda's like my mom used to
100%.
say, "You were born in DC," and I'm like, "Well, it says Bethesda, Maryland." She's like, "Well,
Right.
it's like DC." I'm like, "But it says Maryland," and I was so confused. And when I started
Yeah.
traveling more as a grown
Yeah.
up, I realized what she was talking about.
All right. Well, being that we only have a little bit of time, we're just going to talk about every place you ever visited in
Well,
Maryland.
once I
That's
went
the show.
So let's dive into it. Like,
yeah.
when did you first hear Elvis Costello? Like how?
It's funny, I was thinking about it, and what I
Yeah.
was thinking was I first heard Elvis Costello because a friend of mine in a summer I was an actor growing up, I studied acting and I did a lot of plays, and one of the things I did one summer was, an acting program in England when I was a junior. Was I a junior or sophomore? Junior. I was a junior. Between junior and senior year, I studied in London, and there were all these people from the East Coast. And one of my friends, actually, who was from the West Coast, Michael Stuhlbarg, who now is a very famous actor. If you Google him,
Oh,
you look
I
him
know
up.
exactly who he is. Yeah,
So
he did. He's
Michael
done a
Stuhlbarg was
yeah, yeah.
so sweet and so quiet. And I had a guitar that I had borrowed from one of the teaching assistants. I left my guitar at home, but I borrowed one from K, Hakeem, and he actually is also a well-known actor too. We could look him up. But he loaned me the guitar. It only had two strings missing, but I went ahead and I would write songs and play songs. People would come to my dorm room and hang out with me. And one of the people who I was friends with was Michael Stuhlbarg, and he played me Allison on the guitar. And I hadn't heard that song before. And
Wow.
so I was so curious when I went back to Dallas. I'm a huge record collector. I was a DJ in high school on the radio station, and I used to DJ parties as well as on a radio station. And I had a cajillion records, and I used to carry them in crates into my records, into my shows, and into my going to the radio station. But I loved Elvis Costello. I bought the record, and I loved it. And that's when I got to know about it. But then I was thinking, I actually saw Elvis Costello in person. I believe it was 1982. My cousin worked at NBC in New York City, and my family went to go do a trip to the East Coast. And we went to New York City. We went to um, the Berkshires where we had cousins, and we went to Tanglewood and everything. But when we were in New York City, my cousin Sue Schwartz took us into the Letterman studios. And do you know who was sound checking? Elvis Costello. And I
Nah.
believe it
Uh,
was 1982. I was looking it up. I think it was 1982 because it was like early in high school, I believe, or like I was either like eighth grade. I can't believe which trip it was. We took a couple trips there, but I think
Uh-huh.
around 1982, I saw Elvis Costello warming up.
Dude.
I know.
I thought I saw him
That's
at a
crazy.
supermarket once, but it was just some other British dude with a fedora on.
Yeah.
But I was like, "That's him," and he's like, "That's not him." I go, "That's him," and the guy was
Uh,
like, "That's Jim. He lives up the street." Well, he looks like him.
him.
It's
Yeah. So I got to see him in person, and I was drawn in by the song Allison, and
Mhm.
or my aim is true. I love no, Allison. No, was it My Aim Is True? My Aim No, it was
It's
Allison.
Allison.
It was
My name is
Allison. I
true is
was trying to
Allison.
figure out
Yeah,
which one it was. So it
yeah.
was Allison, and then I went down the rabbit hole of Elvis Costello. I will say this was the album that was my favorite of his.
Mhm.
That would happen to me where One of the other artists I think of who's like that is like Thomas Dolby. There would be one album, and that would be the album that I loved. I
Mhm.
didn't feel like venturing a lot into other albums, or I'd buy other albums, but I would really stick with that one album. For Thomas Dolby, it was The Flat Earth. I love that album so, so
I
much.
don't know that one.
And I just met, oh my God, it's an amazing album. And I just met him recently. And that actually, I crowd surfed at his concert. I jumped up on his
Nice.
Nice.
stage. I
Okay.
told him I was so embarrassed. He's like, "Oh yeah, sure, I remember you." I'm like, That was when I was like 16 or 15. But anyway, that was this album that I loved by Elvis Costello. I bought a bunch of his other albums, and I listened to a lot of them as well. But that one, until we got to the like 86, 87, was it? Or with the album with that was kind of one of his more popular albums, like really popular. Oh my God, my brain. What's the one with like the plaid? It's like the plaid Spike. Spike.
Spike.
I
Yeah.
loved Spike a
I don't
lot.
know that one. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great album too.
I
Anyway,
will.
I love this record so much, and it's. Oh, go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say is besides this record, we've done what was the other?
Blood and Chocolate.
No, is it Oliver's Army? Is that what
Yeah.
it's called? The
I
album?
think so.
It has that song on
Armed
it.
Forces.
Armed Forces. We did
yes.
Armed Forces with another
Dana Gould.
well, we did it with
Oh,
Dana
Dana,
Gould.
yeah.
Gould.
Gould.
That's making him extra Jewish. Dana Gould. You can't do that.
Dana.
Dana Gould. And
Yes.
and so that was my first, like entrance. And besides like, and I've said this on the podcast, so I'm not gonna waste time on me, but it was like besides like, the hits that he did have that were out, or the song that I really loved, which was She from the movie Notting Hill. Like I loved that movie. I watched it, Jeremiah. I watched it with Joel. We were like 19 years old. Joel's like a friend of ours we're just like two bros like watching this like rom-com in my parents'
Crying.
basement, smoking
I'm not
pot,
crying,
like
you're crying.
not crying, but definitely like, yeah, come on, yay, she got her, yay. Like we were so into it.
That's a good one.
But what I found about Elvis is just like, I love just how influential he was. I love how many people that I respect. And it's always, I would say more, I don't want to say just like but the comics that I've noticed that love Elvis Costello are the guys that are brilliant writers, that are thinkers, that are people that really, like Dana's a genius, man. He is just, he's a reference bank that is so, so deep. And so when Emily told me that you were coming on the podcast for this, I was ecstatic, because not just being a fan, but also I would love to know, it's like just how much of Elvis's material has influenced your music.
Hugely. And it's influenced me so much, because he was a guy who, you really listen to the song, he's got a ton of lyrics. I think some of us, like I know I like to write a ton of lyrics to a fault, where you're just writing too many lyrics and you're trying to get too clever. But his cleverness plays into what he's trying to say and the feel of the song. I mean, even and also he as he's grown older, he's explored a lot of different genres and done a lot of different things that he likes to do. But right out of the gate, this album, it's funny too, because when I heard the album and I was getting ready for this podcast, I was like, oh yeah, that's one of my favorite albums. But I started listening to the lyrics more closely, because they come up when you're listening on your phone or whatever. And I realized I don't even know the lyrics that well. I know bits and pieces. Of lyrics. Some of them I don't even know what he's talking about. But he's able to be so confident and so clear and have so much attitude in his writing. And you think of him as a songwriter, but not like a folky songwriter.
Sure.
He's just,
I would never think of it as folky. I think
no.
I
But
mean,
as a woman,
sure.
and with a guitar, all of us from the beginning, unless you were blatantly playing like rock with your band, if you have a guitar and you're a woman, people consider you, at least in the early 90s, when a lot of us were getting known to the public, I'd been doing it my whole life. A lot of people do it their whole life. You play music growing up and everything, but people want to call you folk or folky, and they can't hear you as being sort of like just a musician. I think Sheryl Crow broke through really well. You don't think of her as like a singer-songwriter with a guitar, although she better than anyone can sit with a guitar and play a song. But it was a real boundary. And someone like Elvis Costello did that. You didn't think like, oh, it's James Taylor. You thought of him as this like rock guy, but really he's a singer-songwriter. Even his first album, I was so shocked. I feel so stupid. I didn't realize it wasn't his band. It wasn't the Attractions. It was like random guys who played that they rallied to play these sessions. They recorded it very fast, and they recorded these sessions, and they were not his band. But in my head, it was like, that's his sound. In fact, one of the guitar players is from the Doobie Brothers. Like, I didn't know that. And the music, and when I went back and listened again, certain phrases I could sing to you exactly word for word. Other things
Mhm.
I look down at the lyrics, I'm like, "What? That's what he's saying?" And then so much of what's catchy about the recordings are the instrumentation. Is the instrumentation, is the arrangement. And I'm curious what those songs sounded like before these guys came in and they arranged it. He even said in something I read that he didn't really know what he was doing a lot with the guitar. Like, I was so shocked. I was so shocked
Yeah.
because to me that was like, this album is the embodiment of Elvis Costello.
Yeah.
But it was kind
They
of this other Elvis Costello. I read that they had him, like, wear his glasses. I always thought of him as and, like, I wear my glasses. I can't see, and I like glasses, and it's fun to have that style. I've always looked for glasses that I've loved ever since I started wearing glasses when I was a
yeah.
kid. And I ended up with the ones that I have, but I mentioned him and Buddy Holly and, Elton John as people with glasses, that it's just natural. It's what they do. But it turned out his whole image was something that the record company suggested, that he change his name, that he wear these glasses, that he do his hair this way, that he look this
Yeah.
way on the album cover. That was I was kind of disappointed to find out about that. But
Yeah,
I love the
I
record.
there no, but it's funny that you brought that up because there's going through this record with Morty, it was like trying to figure out how to start the story and about, like you said, like he was almost pushed into not his music, but the image and everything. They were like, how can we sell this guy? And so I'm trying to figure out where to start. So I'm going to say this. So Morty gave me
Yeah.
this, and let's just jump in here. So Elvis's dad was a trumpet player and singer. His mom sold records, so his childhood was filled with music and musicians. While his folks encouraged him, they never insisted he take lessons or pushed him into following in their passions. I'm sorry. As their only child, he did see what determination and discipline it took to pursue a musical career. How musical was your home?
Very musical.
Yeah.
My dad was a doctor, but he loved playing piano. He played all the time for fun. My older brother's a classical pianist and a conductor, and he was, like, doing competitions and stuff since he was a kid. And we all took piano lessons. My sister, my 2 brothers, and I took music lessons. We listened to records all the time. It was like a passion of ours. We went to go see concerts starting in the '70s.
Mm-hmm.
And also, probably culturally, as a Jewish family, we took lessons, lots of lessons, piano lessons, guitar lessons. It was a big deal when I decided to change my primary instrument to guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you try to learn as much as you can. Voice lessons and musical theater and all, and then also as
Yeah.
a writer, we learned a lot, very deep um, education in writing at
Yeah.
school, and then also just obsessed with music. Everybody's obsessed with music. My mom, they loved concerts. My mom met Elvis Presley. Like,
Wow.
Wow.
we love music. We love music. But
It's
anyway, yeah.
everything.
And
Yeah,
also I
it's
think there was a
everything.
little bit of a, in our household, if you're going to be a professional musician, you need to prove that it's, like, serious. You know, you have to be,
Sure.
it's just serious. And so I was very serious. I also am very serious, but anyway.
No, dig it. And then what I also love is because you've been featuring your daughter in music videos. I'm assuming you're encouraging them.
No, yes, but
No?
no, she's
Yes.
only in one
Yeah.
video when she was really little. That would be from a
Ah,
bio from, like, early two she was born in 2009. I made a bunch of kids records, and in a couple of the nursery rhyme videos, my kids are in them. But in general, they're not in any of my videos, and,
okay.
I just want them to do stuff that they love, and they love music a lot, and they play a little bit, but not they're we don't have the forcefulness to force them to take lessons. They don't want
Yeah.
to. So
It's like my sister and her kids, where I feel like my sister Jody, who's a doctor, and her husband's as like a judge, and they're very, intelligent, and the kids are brilliant, but it's like, you know, they all have that instrument, and it's like, you have to play this. This is your thing. And
yeah.
I think they like it. I don't know. I mean, I go
Well,
over
that's
there
the
and then I pick
thing.
it up and I noodle around with it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like on one hand, some people I have friends who playing doing lessons was not the way to get better or to improve. They just had a natural curiosity about it. Some of us, like before you had even had a chance to think about it, you would just be taking a lesson.
Hmm.
Um, and just like with everything else, sometimes you consistently go through difficult periods and then get to the other side, and it's really exciting that you did that, whether it's with your workout or with your whatever skill you want to have. So it's a push and pull.
Yeah.
The perfect thing is when people take lessons and they're interested and they want to know more, and it's not like they're being forced into it.
Yeah. Let me see where we're
But so
at.
he was, yeah. I don't
So
know
no,
as much about Elvis Costello. I just know the album, and that's the thing too. This came out. This came out in a time when we didn't have the internet. So
sure.
so
Punk's getting ready to come out.
even
Everybody
there
hears
was yeah
about it. Like there's like you actually obviously have like the big rock stars of the 70s, the Led Zeppelins, all
yeah, and
those.
you look at
But
like Cream magazine or something. You didn't
sure,
know what that
yeah,
looked like.
but punk is out there.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
know
of
it's
course.
coming. They know
Yeah,
it's coming, and we're okay. So where was I? Did Morty write this or did I?
his
Okay.
parents.
Oh wait, hold on. Here, he gave me this. All right, let me just make sure this is Morty. Okay, cool. Um, or did he not? Okay, no, okay. Because we've done Elvis before, we've done a lot of his biography. So let's catch everyone up. So let's start here.
Okay.
Elvis was raised, like we said, in a musical household as a teenager. Had a duo with his friend called Rusty. He was then in a bar band called Flip City for a while in the early '70s. It was during that time that he was recording demos and also got married and was starting a family after having his son. He had been friends with the owners of a local label called Stiff Records, which was an independent record label that was putting out singles at the time. Dave Robinson, one of the Stiff Records heads, brought Elvis to do some demos, but nothing came of it. About a year later, excuse me, he saw that Stiff Records was actually signing acts, so he came in and met with Robinson and his partner, Jack Riviera. Good name. Who would go on to be Elvis's longtime manager. He became the first signing to Stiff Records, although it would take a substantial amount of time for his record to be released. He had a bunch of songs that he had written with Flip City as a solo artist, but without a band to record. The label told him
So how
he
old was
should.
he? How old was he? Early 20s?
I don't have that.
Super young.
Yeah, find that out, JT, if you
No,
could.
I'm just curious because I know a lot of us started like in high school and I started when you're little, like when you're in grade school.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it sounds like he's already married with a kid and
Yeah, but I mean, dude, back in the day, man,
get married
they
early.
used to get married, have kids like super young.
Yeah.
Um, he had a bunch of songs. Where was I? So he became funny, blah
Bunch
blah
of
blah.
songs,
So he had a
signed.
bunch of songs that he had written with Flip City as a solo artist, but without a band to record. The label told him he should use this Northern California band that was sort of a country rock group. They had come out a while earlier to find their fortune in England because they hadn't had much success in America outside of their small scene. It was in Los Angeles at the Palomino Club that the band called Clover had met Stiff Records.
Right.
Um, okay, so there we are.
And that
Is
was in
that
the 70s. Yeah.
yeah? Um, so obviously watching his dad deal and struggle with his music career had made Declan, which was his original name, consider music to be more of a pastime. It was after witnessing a teenage friend death in a traffic accident that shocked him into his devotion to his craft, considering how short and life was and how fast it could go. What was the defining moment where you suddenly took a career in music seriously?
Um I don't know. I mean, it was always serious. Ever since I was a kid, it was just something that I wanted to do well. I think I don't know, even in college, my friend Liz and I had a band called Liz and Lisa. My friend Elizabeth Mitchell, and I don't know, from the very beginning, it was important that I wanted to write really good songs, that we should perform well together. We started recording as soon as we could. I had already been recording in high school. Um, there was, I think maybe by senior year, we had a really great following, and we could even play like in New York and in Los Angeles and Dallas and get a decent following. I think in New York, I mean, sorry, towards the end of college, we found out that there was somebody from EMI Records who was interested in possibly signing us, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that was like, "Oh, yeah, this is like actually this is, actually something that can happen." Although I think we thought it was something that could happen. Um, but it was always like, again, it was like a safety net. You like we're supposed to have a safety net, but the safety net was doing the thing, like building
Yeah.
our audience little by little, always making sure we had a packed house, making recordings that we thought were top quality,
Hmm.
taking the next step, going to New York City, making a demo with somebody who had worked with Suzanne Vega, who was in her band, and the bass player from her band, who was part of a New York scene. Um, even though we had already recorded a couple albums on our own, like just always taking the next step. It was like little by little. So
Dig it. All right, Morty just updated even more, so I got even more. So where were we? So they blah 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 blah. All right, so they told him to use a Northern California band with the country music. They'd come out a while earlier to find their fortune in England because they hadn't had success in America outside of their small scene. It was in Los Angeles at the Palomino Club that the band called Clover had met Stiff Records owner and staff songwriter artist Nick Lowe. So
mm,
Clover was in England, and the label suggested Elvis and the band go to Headley Grange to live and rehearse for this record. Headley Grange is famously these 1700s home about an hour and a half outside of London, where bands like Genesis and Led Zeppelin would live and write and record. In fact, Led Zeppelin and 4 and more were composed and recorded there. Oh,
oh my
Led
gosh,
Zeppelin
that's so
3.
magical.
Yeah,
Huge
right.
That's insane.
history.
So Elvis and Clover, he's like right updating this as we go. So it's like Elvis and Clover started working, and although Clover didn't really know about the type of influences Elvis was turned on by at the time, like Bruce Springsteen and the early angular sounds of television that were
Mm,
still going along. Back in London, they recorded this album in 64-hour sessions.
crazy.
Although there were only 12 songs on the record, they actually recorded substantially more, but Stiff Records cut off the songs that didn't seem to fit into the current punk trends.
Which one
Elvis
of
had
them they cut off was Watching the Detectives. I read it was only out in the English. I mean, it only came out in the U.S. version, which is crazy because that's like one of my favorite songs on the record.
on the version that
And
I
it was
had on,
6 4-hour sessions, right? Not 64-hour sessions.
Yeah.
yes,
It was just
probably.
which is not very much. Like you could do one vocal in 4 hours. Like this was Beatles style. This was like, which I'm glad to hear they rehearsed because it was just too good for it just to happen that way.
Well, there's the on Dark Lord Spotify, the app. It's the album that they have on there has like the extended version. So there's
Oh,
like
I don't
there's
listen to the extended
so
version.
no, but I'm just saying there's like I think all those tracks that we're talking about that didn't make
I
it.
don't see it there. I didn't see it there when I listen on
Really?
Spotify.
Because
Mm-mm.
I just saw
And
I
I
saw a
hate
demo.
extra tracks. As a musician, I hate extra tracks. I don't
Really?
Fuck
want to hear.
'em.
The only extra track I like is "Dear God." It was like an extra track, right, on the XTC record. It wasn't actually part of the record. That's a good extra track, but I don't want to hear extra tracks. I
I
don't.
don't hate extra
I'm
tracks. I
glad.
don't hate them.
I'm glad we had Watching the Detectives, but I hate when they add extra tracks later. I don't want to know. It's fine if you're listening to vinyl and you have to literally pick up another album and put it on, but it better not be connected with the album itself. Oh God, it makes me so angry. Anyway,
Duly noted. If I give you any music suggestions, I'm giving you an album.
give me the pure regular version. I don't want the extra. I don't want extra
Yeah, you
crunchy.
don't want it.
No.
All right. So where was I? So blah 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 blah. Sorry. So here we go.
Rehearsing,
Although there
recording.
were 12 songs, they
Okay.
actually recorded substantially more. Stiff Records cut off the songs that didn't seem to fit in the current punk trends. Elvis had a real love for classic country music, along with Motown and the British beat groups. There's almost none of that reflected in this record because of the songs that were not included. Also, at this point, Declan had been going by DP Costello, getting the Costello from his grandmother's maiden name and using his first two initials. The record company decided he should use something a little more bold. And as the punk rock trend of, where was it? Punk rock trend of members changing their names was a common thing at the time. Think of like Johnny Rotten and Sid Vicious and Joe Strummer. They rechristened Declan Elvis Costello after Elvis Presley. Even though he was a bit skeptical, Declan went with it. The idea was that if somebody picks up the record, they might see the name and it would give them a long enough pause for them to consider buying it. Can I ask you a question? I mean, I know this is going off topic. What was the stupidest thing any record exec ever told you to do? That's got to be a good question. They gotta say
Um,
stupid shit.
I mean, it's not that stupid. It was just like when we had to re-record some songs for an album. They were looking for the singles, and one of the producers I was working with said, They wanted me to change the structure even more. I really wanted to start this one song with the chorus. I thought it was really
Mhm.
awesome. And they were like, no, 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 we should put it later. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll try that. And they wanted me to do something else. I don't remember what. And I said, you know what? I just can't change the song anymore. I'm sorry. Let's just leave it the way it is. And he
Uh-huh.
said, well, it's the difference between a hit and a miss. And I was like, fine, let's just record a miss. I can't. I don't know. People didn't tell me anything that stupid, but I will say before I got signed, one guy told me, I'm not going to say who and I'm not going to say what, but one of the guys from one of the
Exclusive.
labels told me that he was the one who had come up with one of these other famous artists' hairstyle, and I was
Mhm.
like, now I'm not signing with your label because that is embarrassing. I didn't want to hear that. I didn't care about that. I
What was the
cared against it.
hairstyle?
I'm not telling you.
Come on, man.
Nope. Because that might not even be true. He might have been bragging about something that he thought he was so cool for creating that I didn't think was cool in the first place, that the other guy who actually created it might have just wanted his hair that way. And
I'm
then I
saying
definitely didn't wanna say anything rude about it.
I know exactly what it is. I don't
No,
even
what did you
know.
say?
You don't even have to tell me. And you don't have to say anything. Adam Duritz, dreadlocks. I know it. I know it. By you not responding, I 100% know I'm right. So I'll move on, but I know I'm right. Beep, 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 beep,
Josh
beep,
hates
beep,
white
beep.
people with dreadlocks.
I
That's a big
hate no. I just
issue he
hate white
has.
reggae. I hate white
Oh, okay,
reggae.
fair.
And but do white people with dreadlock? I don't care. I mean, it's fun. It's hair's hair. You know, do what you want to do. But I hate white reggae, and there's nothing wrong with it. Actually, it's all our friends that we grew up with. Jeremiah, you know that. All right, where was I? All right, we got so much shit to get through. All right, so where was I? So after Elvis thought it was a bit spectacle, decked in the idea, picked up a record. Okay, yeah. So one more change was made. They looked at this young guy who had worked at a computer data entry job at a makeup company and decided he could go a little bit more punk. So they had
Elizabeth
him wear.
Arden.
So yes, yes.
What I
So he
read.
had. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he had. They had him wear tight blazers, cuff jeans, and told him to wear horned rim glasses, similar
To
to
Lisa
Buddy
Loeb.
Holly.
Oh,
To
sorry.
Lisa.
Oh
Future
my god.
star.
The transformation complete, they took pictures for his album cover with him standing in a pigeon-toed stance, holding his now familiar Fender Jazzmaster guitar. Although he's become synonymous with that guitar, he actually didn't get it until after the record was recorded, and most of it was recorded on a blue Telecaster. And around the image of him on the cover is a checkerboard pattern that contains the phrase "Elvis is King" over and over. All right. I think
That's it?
we can now get
I never saw that.
into
I don't see the Elvis is King.
Morty. Oh my God. You're making me look stupid, Morty.
Where is it?
I don't know. He's the guy. If you saw what's going on with my computer right now, my note is just like blah, 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 blah. It's just so here's what I'm gonna do.
Because I
I'm
have
gonna
my
die.
CD. I found my I couldn't find my album. I don't know where my album went. I had a bunch of my albums shipped from Dallas, but I did find my CD. Um, because it was a little bit around the same time I found out about the record. I do have a lot of his vinyl. I
I
have a lot of
see
his
it.
albums on vinyl, but I have a CD, and this was one of the reasons I realized. Also, I heard this was in black and white originally, the image, and they colorized it when it came out in the US. I found that on the internet, but I was like, why don't I know the lyrics? And I started looking back at all of his old albums. The majority of them had no lyrics in the packaging for some reason,
Hmm.
which is weird because we spent so much time. And then I was like, well, maybe it was in the CD, and I was so busy I never looked at it. But here I am opening the CD. Hi, cheapies. Hi, cheap record
They just
company.
gave up.
It's blank. One whole side
Yeah.
is completely blank. When you open up the fourfold, that is so cheap.
Oh.
No lyrics.
Okay, so he said we got most of it out. I wrote a couple other things, but the tracks about growing up. All right, let's dive into some tracks. Let's talk about some
Oh God, I
tracks.
love these tracks.
How can you not? Right? I mean, my aim is true. It
I
came
also will
out.
say before we talk
Good,
about the tracks, we have to talk about the space between the tracks. I remember once reading.
please.
I'm obsessed with David Bowie's Hunky Dory, and I bought some really nerdy book about it, and they were talking about the space in between the tracks, and I'm like, this is the same thing. The way one song ends and the next one starts.
Mhm.
It's the perfect thing. It's like a Beatles record or something where you never feel like you're listening to the same song that you were just listening to. It's like you're getting out of the hot tub and getting into the pool. Then you get out of the pool and you get into the hot tub. Like there's
Hmm.
always a great transition and a moment of like, it's a new song. You feel that every time the new song happens. Anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No.
Love that.
I really dug this record. I really did dig it. I'm a fan now, and Yeah, there's so much to talk about. Let's open up the opening track. Welcome to the working week.
Welcome to the working week.
By the way, here's the
Yeah.
Elvis is King as you see it on the
Okay, yeah, this is the super cheapo version that does not have that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the one I have on
Okay,
on this
cheapo.
thing. Yeah, I see it. All right. So we know Elvis was doing computer data entry at the Elizabeth Arden makeup company, from which he would often call in sick to record this, even after the record was completed and before it came out. What job or jobs did you have right before Stay blew up, and did
I
you quit
did.
in like a great fashion or anything?
No, I did go back to school for psychology for grad school for a year at NYU, but I really wanted to focus on music. If I was going to do that, I wanted to do that like completely, not just on the backup. But I did work at a store called Hold Everything, which was owned by the people who owned Pottery Barn. We sold things like padded hangers. I remember selling padded hangers to Will Lee from Letterman. And but I sold like organizational containers and things like that. I spent a lot of time cleaning white plastic cubes with spray. But anyway, I worked at Hold Everything. I worked at a hotel called the Roger Smith Winthrop, doing room service and washing dishes and wearing a little suit. But I also mostly right before I got signed and everything, I was doing a lot of temp work. It was a great way to get paid. I typed really fast. I happened to take typing in 7th grade one summer because I could take it inside and it was so hot in Texas. I was like, I'll take typing. It paid off. And I ended up getting to do a lot of executive assistant work, which meant because I typed pretty fast, I would be working for high-level executives who were on vacation. And if they were on vacation, then their assistant often took a vacation as well. So I ended up doing a lot of making my band flyers at work, having regular office hours, waking up and being up earlier than I normally would. And, it was very fun. And one of the places I got to work also was Scholastic Books, and that was really, really nice.
Oh,
I know. I love Scholastic Books. And it was before they had a lot of computers, so I'd have to go to every desk, like on the floor, and give out messages and help order office supplies. And they give me free Scholastic Books, which I still have some of them.
Who
I
doesn't
love
love a
children's
Scholastic
books.
book?
I know. It was so cool. Anyway.
Any thoughts on working? Welcome to the working week, or it's just a shorty?
I love it.
Like
No, it's great.
22.
It is. It's short, but it has, again, like I didn't know a lot about the lyrics growing up. But certain things stand out, like his choruses stand out so much. Like, welcome to the working, welcome to the working week. It, don't tell you. It's really welcome to, you better do it till you do it, till you better get to it. Like those kind of things stick in your head. Welcome to the Working Week also has a great introduction. It starts off slow and then it's almost like a TV show theme. It's like,
no, it really is
slow.
What a perfect way to put it. It definitely felt like, you could see them like, you could see the actors kind of like doing this and then like, welcome to the working week. Dude, I always get audience members to sing like that. Because I do a lot of like musical crowd work when I'm on stage and I have the band. And so I'm doing this and I always like I was like, now I'm going to start being, because I always say like, sing like 80s new wave. And I'm like, that time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what he's doing, but he has that like, welcome to the working.
Yeah. It does have a little bit of that new wave punk. Yeah. All of it together. And then it's great too because you have this band that perfectly it's perfect because they play all of these genres that are very classic. It's like 1950s sounding, or there's some guitar in there that sounds like the Eagles in some of the songs, and just these really classic sort of nods to different genres from the past. And it's like Elvis Costello with his lyrics and his music is bridging the gap between what's actually behind, like a perfect doo-wop song where everyone's in love and all that. But he's actually talking about like being in love with someone else's wife, or how work sucks, or how everyone's out to get you. Like very paranoid, very punk attitude with very proper looking visuals. It's that perfect sort of new wave era and punk era.
It's one of the coolest. I think this is like one of the best times in music and everything. I mean, this is like, from doing this podcast, I always seem to really be drawn to late 70s it's like I said, this is music I don't think I ever would have listened to. I never would have listened to if I didn't start doing this podcast. Not against it, but just that's why we do this. So put it in front of us. And then this goes into Miracle Man, song about trying to be or trying to impress or be with a girl who doesn't think anything is good enough. I think it's fair to say that Ethan Hawke's involvement with your early career proves something of a miracle that many other struggling musicians pray for. Did you thank him formally and buy him like a pair of red shoes or something?
No.
Or did
I did
you
not.
like?
I didn't buy him anything, but he knows that I appreciate what he did. You know, it's funny, at the time it seemed very natural because, you know, and it still happens today. You meet people, you meet different people, you become friends with different people, you work with different people. Sometimes that leads to something else that's interesting or something that's a great opportunity. It happens all the time, and especially developing as an artist and being a musician, you know, from being in high school or younger, and oh, this person knows somebody where you can play at that club. Oh, this person knows this. Oh, they want you to play at their party. Oh, you know, with Ethan, I met him through another friend who was an actor at Brown University. They were in a movie together. And so I ended up meeting all these actors when I moved to New York City right after college, and musicians, and we all hung out, musicians and actors and playwrights, and it was just a neat group of people. We hung out a lot. Ethan started a theater company. I wrote music for his plays. Ethan was a friend, a neighbor, a fan. You know, we were just so we'd all go see our friends play in the Niagaras, which was Frank Whaley's band, and his brother. He's also an actor. He played the drummer, I think, in the Doors movie. But anyway, we all supported each other, played and saw each other, and so it seemed really normal that Ethan would say, "Hey, I'm working on this movie. Can you give me a copy of your song, Stay?" He had also already asked me to write a song for his character. I didn't know it at the time, but when they make movies, they you know, in the movie he played a guy in a band, and he was supposed to sing a song called "I'm Nothing." So he asked me to try to write that song. I think the guy from Violent Femmes, Gordon Gano, wrote a song called "I'm Nothing," and the guy from Soul Asylum also wrote that song, who was dating Winona Ryder at the time. And they used the Soul Asylum version of "I'm Nothing." They didn't use my song. But Ethan was like, "Oh, but what about that other song of yours, Stay? Like, maybe you could, you know." And we had just recorded this song a couple of times, so I had a cassette to give Ethan and say, "Hey, here's our band song." There were record companies that were interested, and we had done demo deals and stuff. So it seemed really natural at the time. And then, you know, the song got into the movie, and I got to quit temping, and then they decided to put it on the soundtrack, and then a radio station down in Houston started playing it on the radio, and it ended up going to #1. It's all crazy. Like, in retrospect, yes, it's completely a miracle that all those things lined up that way. At the time, it seemed like, well, yeah, you know, I'm going to ask you to go do this. Oh, you know, it didn't seem that it was exciting, and I really appreciated it, because you never want to like ask people to do stuff because it can be kind of embarrassing, and you know, that's a lot of pressure on everybody. But I appreciate it so much. And he ended up getting to direct my video. He wanted to get into some more directing. He does everything. He's a writer, director, and he did a great job, you know. And it's funny because the record company probably let him direct the video because he's a famous movie star. But what was great about him was that he had a really good idea, and he was able to execute it really, really well with an amazing DP that he had hired. He had the whole thing thought out, and that really helped people connect with the song as well. So there are so many levels of miracles happening, and I really appreciate it. And I think about it all the time because I sing the song all the time, and I tell the story all the time, and probably way more than Ethan will ever think of it in his life.
He's
but I really do appreciate
Lisa who? Oh, you mean Lee's? Oh, Lee's.
Lee's, yeah. So yeah, no, it's one of those things, you know, and I also had to get over, like, yeah, it is important to me. It might not be the most important that ever happened to him, but to me it's a very important thing in my career, and I appreciate it, and it's awesome. It helps people connect with me still, and I appreciate that.
And can I say this too, Jared? I think you probably agree. We do these all the time, and your setup, your vocal, I feel like I'm in the room with you. It's like just the audio connection. You'd be surprised how many people we're talking to, and they're like,
"Oh no, I have a podcast. I have an interview thing, and I interview all musicians."
No, I
mostly.
know.
I'm surprised that they're like, "Okay, here's my let me just like backlight myself and then speak into my computer microphone
Oh,
You're a producer's
God.
dream, Lisa.
with like
We love
terrible
you.
Wi-Fi and like the studios right behind them. I'm like,
I
can you
know, it's right
first of
there.
all turn
And I get
yourself
nervous
so you're
too.
facing the light.
I get nervous too when I talk to like rock stars or especially, you know, people I don't know. And it's because there's so much information about the album I want to make sure I get out. But I knew it. I was like, dude, I was like, even talking to Morty today, I was like, I'm not freaking out. I was like, I have a feeling Lisa's going to be awesome. And yeah, you're killing it.
Yay.
Yeah.
Get a
So
star on my forehead.
thoughts on Miracle Man before we move on to No Dancing? Do you want anything you want to add to it or?
I know, that's the one waiting for the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like it's nice. It's like a mid-tempo song that hits you right after the really upbeat song. I don't know.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
Great song. Yeah.
Kind of retro sounding. It's got a lot of space,
yeah.
but in a different way than some of the other songs. Like
You can hear the influences of the stuff that we were talking about at the beginning
Yeah.
with that song. And then No Dancing.
I love this.
Yeah.
It's
Why do you
got
love it?
such a happy sound. It's so happy and uplifting, and it's this is the exact example of like really happy and sounds kind of retro, but it's actually about the behind the scenes. Like it's not like the perfect doo-wop kind of story. It's like this terrible thing about this guy who's just kind of tortured and he's probably in control of the relationship, only he's like not really the great guy. And it's like the story of, in my brain, of people like in a fight after they come home. It's what's really happening behind the scenes. So good.
Somebody, a reviewer described it as an upbeat blues with a Jersey Shore rock shine. And I could hear that. So now we know record companies like Ben Stiller's oily corporate video TV guy from Reality Bites often say that they love what you do and then try to change to make it fit in any trendy pop phenomenon. Was there any pressure from these types of people, like the label people, to play the guitar and start dancing in music videos or anything like that would make you feel uncomfortable or no?
No. I mean, the one thing I felt uncomfortable when I made we made a beautiful video with a guy named Phil Harder, who's he makes amazing videos. I loved his videos. And we made a video for my album called for my album Firecracker, for a song of mine called I Do. And I wanted the different I don't remember who came up with the idea, but we worked really hard on the artwork and made it look really retro and vintage with this beautiful light pink color. And it was a long process to make the album artwork. We worked with an illustrator who used to do book covers and like romance book covers and commercials and stuff in the 50s. It's great. And so we took one of his old paintings and changed it to look like me. And then we recreated that for the album, for the album cover and for the video. But at one point we wanted to make it look like an old like Hullabaloo, like an old TV show. And in it I had to dance. I'm actually a dancer. Like I grew up taking a ton of dance classes. I like to tap dance and do jazz and musical theater and ballet. And like I did, but I don't do that with my music. I'm like a musician. Once when I was in high school, our dance troupe was from the girls' school was performing at the boys' school. And I was down on the front row doing the sexy dance that we had to do to Hungry Like the Wolf with like leotards and tights and like tatters and rags costume. And the guys, like literally within the first couple rows of the auditorium, there were people who I was like in bands with. And I was just so embarrassed. I'm like, never will dance and music meet again for me. I quit. So I just was like, oh man. But here I was dancing in a video, and the guys from Girls Against Boys, who also were signed by the same A&R person who had signed me to Geffen, they happened to be in Minneapolis where we were making the video, and they're these like cool guys, you know, in this band, and they're watching us, and I'm like, I'm dancing. And it wasn't even dancing. It was just kind of like backup singer dancing where you're kind of doing a little move side to side. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so self-conscious. It was like, oh. But nobody made me do that. And it was somebody cool who was like making me, in quotation marks, do that. Now I'd be okay. In fact, I just tap danced in a video because I wanted to, because I tap danced on my record. And I'm like, it was really cute and fun. So there you go. You got to get it.
I can fake tap dance really well.
Oh, good.
Like really well, to the point where people think, all right, here's what we're going to do. All right, let's get through some of this. And then if we got time.
Okay, or you can send me a video later. You can just send me a link.
Done. Dude, do you think I don't already have videos in the clip ready to go? Dude, I can fire out 5 as we speak. I don't want to. I don't even know what it's called, but I definitely know I can fake that. Okay. 100%. So, all right. So, we could go. Blame it on Kane.
Blame
Yeah, I
it
mean,
on Kane.
yeah,
Don't blame it on me. Oh,
you know,
it's somebody's fault.
do you have any guilty pleasures? What's your guilty pleasure?
I don't have any guilty pleasures.
Okay, I
I'm
love
not
that.
guilty on any of them. I'm
Then
just happy about them.
I love that. Let's
Why would
let's
I
get
feel guilty about it?
let's get into the thick. Let's get into probably
Okay.
the chunkiest song on the record. The one with the album is called, named after a lyric from, is Allison, which is ranked 396 on Rolling Stone magazine's 2021 list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. Came in just ahead of Public Enemy's Bring the Noise and just behind African Bambaata's Planet Rock. This song, while often erroneously thought of as a murder ballad or something sinister like that, was actually about a party girl who disappointed the narrator.
I
I
didn't
mean,
ever think it was a murder song. I thought what I loved about it was, again, that contrast. It sounds like a pining love song, almost like a standard, the way it's written, like an old standard. But instead of it just being a love song, he's just like, he's saying what everybody feels when you're like, that person, like he's pined for this woman, she's married, he's not treating her right, you know, his aim is true. And which is like an amazing lyric, my aim is true, because
yeah,
it's so double entendre of like, I have, it is a true, my aim is real, it's true, but it's also true means straight, like my aim is straight when it's true, you know what I mean? Like true, like even balanced, straight, pointed in the right direction, not just
yeah.
like I really mean it. Ah, so good. But I love that he's just so like kind of neurotic, and on one hand so confident. It throughout the whole record, he's like kind of paranoid but also confident. He's kind of like angry at the man but also like stuck in the system, and maybe is the man.
Mhm.
But so much hurt and anger in his voice. So
I I love this
misunderstood.
song. I mean, I really do love the song, and I see why this is the one. This is the one that, this is on the 500 greatest song list of all time. It's an important song. You
And
never seem,
the melody,
yeah,
and the rhythm
yeah.
of the words. I know and you can't stand to see me this way. Like the way he his phrasing and his melodies are just so catchy.
By
Okay.
the way, we just got a 500 exclusive Lisa Loeb scat singing
Oh,
Allison.
yeah,
I
she's great
mean,
with it.
you sing like I do. I don't learn words, so I'm just like, eh, boo, eh, boo, eh, ah, ooh, ooh.
You know your vowels. What are you gonna say?
Dude, that's all I've got going through my head all day long. I always say I have the song by Aerosmith, it's amazing when you finally see Baba Doo. There's a part in it
Yeah.
where he's like, desperate times, city button, diddy button. That's all I have in my head all day long. Just
You're like, what
Steven
is that?
Tyler's scat singing.
Yeah.
And it
That's
works.
hilarious.
I made good money off
And
of it. All right.
nobody knows the difference.
No one has any idea.
Yeah.
All right. So you've never seemed to be one of those artists who indulged in the party world of rock and roll, despite your popularity. How did you dodge that? Or is there a secret Lisa Loeb alter ego?
I don't know I like being healthy.
Yeah.
I like drinking water and coffee. I like coffee with milk and sugar. I like champagne. I like some, but I don't know. I just like balance. I like balance, moderation and balance. It feels
Moderation
better.
and it really does. And
You
I
know,
think it's also like, you get it out when you're younger, and then the older you get, you realize it's like, I don't want to wake up with a hangover. Like,
like it's really fun to be really into doing a crossword puzzle well in the morning. It's fun. It's fun to
dude,
accomplish
that rules. Dude, you ever
It
play some Sudoku?
Sudoku, yeah, I love
Is
it.
that what it's called? I don't even know.
Yeah,
I've never
Sudoku.
played it.
But I do. I love it. I always take a look at how I'm living and try to make it better.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
And you pick up little hints here and there, like I always love smelling roses, literally, like finding roses that smell really good. So it's a very long story, but I ended up with some Tony Robbins CDs that somebody gave me. I thought I was going to be brainwashed, but I was like, fine, I'll listen to them. They were actually really interesting, and they talked a lot about balancing your life in different areas. But one thing he said, like, I don't know if it's true, but I kind of believe him, that there's some specific energy associated with like smelling flowers, like just like keep doing things like that just make you really happy. And also it just gives you energy.
Oh, dude, I couldn't agree with you more. Like it's
I
life
couldn't
is
disagree
just,
with you.
no, I mean
All
it's
those little
Roses.
things.
I agree. And it's life is, it's just their simple pleasures are, if you can look at that and look at, you don't have to be so macro all the time. It's just like a little micro vision can really just, because when you're looking at everything so big, it's just very overwhelming. And that's coming from a
I
guy
get overwhelmed easily. Yeah.
Very,
But on the other hand, I like to kind of keep buoyant, keep buoyant with small things like this glass. Look how cool that is. I love it. This pen, love it.
Dig it. So Linda Ronstadt famously covered this as a single.
I had no idea.
It did. While it didn't
Have you heard it?
I have not. Maybe Jared, why don't you pull it up, see if we can find it.
Not so famously, huh?
It became a not so. It became a fan favorite and made Elvis a bunch of money that kept him going until his career took off. With the advent of the internet apps or channels like YouTube and TikTok that are often feature people covering songs at home, do you know when new generations catch on to your songs by the amount of covers that suddenly appear, or have you seen? Really?
There's a really nice constant flow of covers coming in from all over the world, and they're karaoke. They're people with their guitars. And also I see a lot of people coming up to me after shows and talking to me about it. And also I have been in a lot of TV shows doing cameos as myself, sometimes singing my songs, sometimes parodying my songs, sometimes singing new songs. So that also tends to draw in new generations.
Let's get to side 2.
Which is funny too. This album, to me, it had 2 sides when I started out because I'd listen to it at home on my vinyl. But then as I got into college, we just started getting CDs. So it became one long album.
Yeah.
It wasn't side 1, side 2.
Yeah.
I know. And now it's just MP3s. Yeah, it's what a bummer, dude.
What was it? What's the first song on the second side?
Well, Sneaky Feelings is the end of side 1. I don't have anything about that. The first one I have is, this is why I said Red Shoes. The Angels Want to Wear My
that was so
Red
popular.
Shoes. Yeah.
Red shoes. Angels want to wear my red shoes. Red
Dude,
shoes.
We're getting exclusives here, JT. This is our cut. Cut it. Put it on TikTok.
Yeah, and again, I don't even know what he's talking about. What is he even talking about?
So let's see what have I got.
I used to be disgusted. Oh my god!
In the song, Elvis makes a deal with angels who have come down to earth because of their wings have rusted, needing footwear. They grant Costello immortality in exchange for his red shoes. However, his girlfriend's not impressed. She doesn't share the enthusiasm, telling him to drop dead and leaving the club with another guy. He wrote the song backwards, starting with the club first, and then he goes back and goes to the girl. Yeah. Well, while other wardrobe items like green shirts and new lace sleeves become synonymous with Elvis later, it all really started with the song's Red Shoes. Whether it's the red tint added to colorize later copies or the Mandela effect, some fans swear Elvis is wearing red shoes on the cover of this record. And like your glasses and a little black dress, your image from Stay remains burned into our collective unconscious. Let's be honest. With minor exception, the most famous, I'm going to fuck this word up, bespectacled. Thank you, lady. Before you came around was Velma from Scooby-Doo. And since you, an entirable, adorable trend of the attractive thinking nerdy, which I call blind dimes, nerdy lady has become huge, whether it was with Tina Fey or Zooey Deschanel or the girl from Ghost World, the comic book and movie. Do you feel a part of that lineage? I mean, I think you do. Obviously, you having your own line of eyewear was a no-brainer. And how did the Lisa Loeb collection come about? But start with the first part.
The lineage? I guess so. I mean, it makes sense. It's true. I'm a nerd in the best version of the word. I think now people know that just means you're interested in a lot of stuff and you're super into it. Yeah. And also, I like the style and you want to buy the ones that are the cutest on your face. And I think for a lot of people, a little bit of a lift is very cute, which is why I started Lisa Loeb Eyewear.
There it is. Plug it.
At the beginning, I thought it was really annoying. Like I would reference, like, do people ask Elvis Costello about his glasses or do they talk to him about his music? They probably don't talk to him about his glasses. Although now I know about his glasses. They should talk to him about his glasses. Why are they asking me about my glasses and not about my music? It's so annoying. And people would say, oh, you should have an eyewear line. And I'm like, this isn't like a marketing tool. This is like, I wear glasses.
I can't see.
I can't see. I'm wearing glasses, whatever. But that being said, I realized it was a really big hobby of mine. I do go into stores looking for cool glasses everywhere. I do like some vintage and vintage inspired frames. Um, and I did get an opportunity about, gosh, wow, now it's been about, I don't know how many years ago, 20 years ago. No, not 20, maybe 15, no more, like maybe 18 years ago. I got an opportunity to have an eyewear line with a small company in San Diego called Classic Eyewear. And I get stopped all the time. Before I had the eyewear line, people would say, my daughter wears glasses because you wear yours on TV, or I feel comfortable wearing my glasses because you wear your glasses. And I realized that that was something that I wanted to be a part of, creating more glasses for people to help them feel comfortable being themselves and looking cute. So I have Lisa Loeb eyewear.
I
Available everywhere.
love that. I love that,
Cool.
Lisa. I think that's really awesome. And I can see, my sister wore glasses. I'm the only person in my family that didn't wear glass or doesn't wear glasses, but I definitely like need something because I was at a wedding recently and they're doing the first dance and my buddy like looks, I'm kind of further back because I'm not like a big part of the wedding and I'm further back and I have this whole table of people laughing. They're like, why are you laughing? He's like, because you're looking at the first dance, the couple, the most beautiful moment like this. Like,
Yeah, you're squinting. You're
you
squinting.
know,
You
and
know,
I do, but you definitely did. I mean, I don't know how to say it any sweeter than it's like that image from seeing you in the music video. It was like there was a shift in what was, considered like
right.
cool and hot, and you suddenly became the it, like, oh my God, like you probably inspired and made so many. Did women tell you that?
Yeah,
Did
yeah. I
they,
still
yeah.
hear that. I hear it from women. I hear it from men. I hear it from, what people liked. I think that's really important. And I think there was a big push for that, with movies like 16 Candles and other
Yeah.
movies from the 80s. And it became the direction. There was such an emphasis on what you should look like and what you should be doing in the 80s and that conservative thing. And there was a lot of pushback. And I think, we've come a really long way. Just people feeling comfortable being themselves. That's always the thing with teenagers too, right? Like trying to fit in, but trying to be yourself. But
Mhm.
there's some happy medium there where you're not trying to prove anything, but you're just get to be yourself with what you look like, who you are, what you believe, all those kind of things.
Yeah. Dude, you rule. I
Oh,
need glasses. I'm a dude. If I'm buying glasses,
we do have some really cool prototypes for a men's
Come
line that are
on.
dig
super
it.
cool.
I would look
We're
good. I think I
Yeah,
look.
that'd be super
I
cute.
used to Brittany when I dated Brittany, my ex girlfriend. She got me glasses, and I got like the Ray-Ban,
Yeah,
not
those are cool.
the Wayfarers. I got to like it was, and dude, I looked cool, but it's just so like it was. I think it was just because it was the thing at the time, and then the second I took them off, I was like, yeah, I don't really need glasses. I definitely, if I'm never gonna do contacts because jabbing my eyeballs with my fingers sounds horrible.
Yeah,
But whatever, to each his own. I think on you,
I do
perfect.
like wearing glasses. They're comfortable.
Yeah, I dig it. All right, let's where are we? Let's get into Less Than Zero. There's so much that can be said about Less Than Zero, so let's try to do this very quickly. While most Americans would have no idea who Oswald Mosley was, he was a socialite
Yeah.
politician from the 20s and 30s in England who became the popular leader of the British Union of Fascists. He and his sister would give speeches hating on immigration and other minorities. And when Elvis was writing this, there was a comeback to the right-wing racist British organization on the National
Excuse
Front.
me.
Bless you. Elvis saw this as one of the backdrop to a couple young people making out on the couch while the Oswalds were on TV spouting their hateful bullshit. While this was the first single from the record, obviously in America, most people figured that this was about Lee Harvey Oswald, who allegedly assassinated John F. Kennedy. Also in 77, Sex Pistols were supposed to play Saturday Night Live, but they canceled. They had assured that Elvis Costello would be a suitable replacement. Although they weren't familiar with his music, he was decided that he would do the song on the show, and he played it at rehearsal. It's one of the coolest. Have you seen that? Like
No, I don't.
when
I
he
don't know.
does this, it's the coolest thing. Morty wrote this, but as he's saying it, I was like, oh no, I know this. So apparently, after feeling insulted by the cast's lack of respect for him, the band they got drunk before the live show, and the real punk rock history was made. They were introduced and started the song, But only seconds into it, Elvis stopped it and announced it wasn't the right song to do. So Elvis, with the Attractions, then launched into their new song, Radio, a scathing
cool. Yeah.
commentary on the
Such a good song.
gatekeepers. Yeah, dude, pull it up, JT, while we do this.
Wait.
And then the Beastie Boys did it too. God, Beastie Boys were the coolest.
They are very specific about like telling you in advance what's the song, both legal and for their camera work. I will say.
Yeah, you did Saturday Night
I
Live
did
in
SNL,
'95 with Chevy Chase hosting.
Yes.
Any memorable moments from that week? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I got to meet Chevy Chase. Jeez. We got to be around and meet all the people. I remember it was freezing on the set. It was always freezing on sets. Did I do it there? You put hand warmers in your tights, but then I think they were fishnets and it just plopped out. But it wasn't on screen. It was just during I don't know if that was during Letterman or during SNL, but it was really scary. I mean, it was like, that's the show we all watched growing up. That was like the top of the top. I couldn't believe we were on there. I also didn't know about in-ear monitors yet, so I don't exactly sing in tune. I couldn't hear myself exactly, but I was really excited to be on the show. That's not a great story, but it was really scary. It was really scary being there.
I can imagine. Did you connect with anybody, any of the cast members, or
I feel like I still run into cast members from there, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, how's it going?" Like Sandler or somebody, like Adam Sandler.
Awesome.
But you want to stay out of people's way. You're concerned about your own performance. You're not there the whole week like everybody else is, like the host.
Elvis Costello obsessed. There was that writer Bret Easton Ellis named his first novel after the song, which became a bestseller and later a movie. He also went on to write American Psycho.
Yeah,
I have a lot of BS about that, but who gives a fly? Let's get to Mystery Dance, which just sounds like something fun at a bar mitzvah. You guys ready to do the Mystery Dance? Everybody get together. Elvis Costello. Well, the bar mitzvah boy is hanging out lighting the Nora candles. Oh, yeah. This is one about the awkward early sexual experiences where people don't really know what they're doing. Does anybody ever, even at 45, I don't know what I'm doing. But they know that they're supposed to be doing it. It's one of the shortest songs on the album, and with it stops and starts and is the closest thing to some of the rockabilly of earlier Fats Domino type tunes that would have influenced Elvis early on. Even though he wrote it for his own amusement really quickly, it has endured and remained a favorite that he still plays live to this day.
It just has that hook too that gets you. I can't do it anymore and I'm not satisfied. Like that. That's the kind of phrase that goes through your head so many times about all kinds of things in your life.
Yeah. This song is about it's about his first sexual encounter. He said songwriting came easily to Costello, so easily that he could whip up a catchy song in minimal effort. And he basically does it here. Dude, rock and roll. Pay It Back. I'm not, do you got anything about Pay It Back or any things you want to add about?
Let me see. Let me think about this for 1 second. No, Pay It Back. This is, again, like one of those really deep stories. His lyrics are just, it's kind of crazy. His lyrics just tell this long story. I'm just curious how these sounded. Like I said this already, but how did it sound before the band? Like,
I don't know. Is it, maybe it's on the demos I was telling you, I know you hate it. What I was talking about, the extended version, shit like that.
Oh yeah. I don't want to know.
But it could. Let me take a look.
I like that. This isn't. He doesn't have a lot of filler songs. It's almost like a filler song. It's just like it sounds good where it is on the album.
Yeah, it doesn't have Mystery Dance. Doesn't have an extra. Wait, hold on. Wait, no, it doesn't have anything.
Pay It Back. One of these
the
days,
demo?
gonna pay it back. One of these days.
That's
and then I'm Not Angry is very funny. It just has a totally different tone. I'm not angry anymore. And then it goes into a very melodic. I know what you're doing. Like it gets really positive and happy there.
Yeah.
He sounds so paranoid.
All right, so I'm Not Angry. This song has almost single-handedly defined the media image of Elvis Costello at the time, despite the title's denial. The sneering vocal describing the bitter anger of a jilted man bordered on misogynistic. And then Morty's like updating this as we go. What is this? How's this segue? All right, let me just tell him. No, Tom, I'm reading this as you write it. Morty.
Don't let him be this Bengali.
No, he is. This is the thing, man. Because and I think Lisa, you can agree. This is an important record, and when you're talking about it, I can just sit here and ask Lisa questions about everything, which is what I want to do. But it's also like we got a show, we got a fan that if he's going to murder me, and wear my skin.
Especially on an Elvis Costello record, though.
Oh, he loves, dude. JT.
Yeah.
You know he loves Elvis Costello.
100%.
100%. He's our dog, dude. I got his book. I'll give him a plug. Hold on. I'll do it later. He wrote a Lou Reed book. He's awesome.
Oh, well, the other thing is about I mean, I was thinking about coming on this podcast and I was like, well, what am I going to say? I love the record. I really like it. Like, don't make me take it apart. It's going to ruin it.
No.
I just like to listen to it. I like it. I didn't know that it wasn't his band. I didn't know that I appreciate it more now knowing that they recorded it so fast. It's kind of a cool thing. I love that Nick Loeb produced it, of course. It's a cool thing that the guitar player from Doobie Brothers is on it. I love Doobies. The Doobies.
I love the Doobies, dude. I want to get that funky Dixie lamb. Come on, mama, gonna take me.
Yeah.
Baby mama. I look, I'm telling you right now, and this is where the dance of this podcast is very difficult, is because we have to show respect to the album, but also I'm not Matt Pinfield. Also, we hope we love him. Yes. We hope he's doing okay. But I'm not a music critic. I don't want, it's tough for me to, if there's something there's not many records that I've shit on this podcast, but it's like when you do, or if I have, I get a lot of people that say shit to me like, dude, that's my thing. You don't understand it and blah, blah, blah. Because music, unlike any other art form, it's like, certain songs were played at funerals or remind them of their first kiss or this. And it's like the depth of it. So it's like I said, it's a very, very delicate dance. All right, here we go. How's this segue? Speaking of getting hot. Oh my goodness. Okay, here we go. You have a successful career as a cooking show host, both with former partner Dweezil Zappa and on your own. That may be the most wholesome rock and roll statement ever. How did that come about, and what is your favorite recipe ever?
That's a big question. I had a record called Cake and Pie with the and underlined. It's philosophy that when somebody offers you cake or pie, you can say cake and pie. It's like life. And so part of that, we thought a really fun promo would be to have our friend Mark Tarbell, who's a chef from Arizona, who's been on TV, who's been Iron Chef and things like that, to be our pie oven roadie and make pie on stage, and we would play music, and then everybody would get taste of pie and cake in the audience, and the record company wouldn't pay for the promotion. So we went ahead and did it anyway because we thought it was cool. Mm-hmm. And then we thought, well, that went really well. We should see when we loved the Food Network, it was just getting really, really popular. We love the Food Network. So we thought, well, maybe there's a show on the Food Network that would make sense for us to go do this promo, where we play music and then we have Mark Tarbell make pie. And they liked it and they liked us and they offered us a TV show to do our own TV show. So we created it was infotainment. We wanted to learn how to cook from different chefs that we knew. We wanted to include different interesting people that we knew, whether it was our friends and family or people that we met, like Bill Murray and his family, and just all different kind of people. So we incorporated touring, cooking, life, music, golf, all different kinds of things, because we were like a lot of other people who watched the Food Network. We knew how to do a lot of cooking well, and we also wanted to learn a lot more about how to make different things and engage with food and the food world. And it was really great. It was a lot of work.
I love it.
And my favorite recipe, gosh, I don't know. Lately, I've been making really good green chicken enchiladas, like hatch chili enchiladas. I love that. It's fairly easy to do, but I really like, especially with the help of hatch chili sauce. One of the canned sauces. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, where are we at? I'm Not Angry. We just did that. We said the favorite recipe. All right, booyah, booyah. We got 2 more tracks and we wrap this up. Waiting for the World to End. Costello in 2015's autobiography said, waiting for the world to end turned his simple homeward journey on the underground into a claustrophobic travelogue, pulling the hysteria out of newspaper headlines into everyday boredom of the computer. without getting too political, it seems that with social media and the current political and world climate being the way that it is, we're not living with a 24-hour news cycle, but with a 24-hour churning outrage machine. How do you remain calm and keep your family distracted?
Well, again, moderation. I do check the news a lot, and I think it's not churning. Unfortunately, I don't think it's churning the craziness. The craziness is happening and it's being reported, unfortunately. And there's a lot of it. So it's very upsetting.
Yeah.
And I think we through our schools, through our communities, we try to connect with people who can help us figure out what we can do and how to have civil conversations about it with others. It's a goal of ours, and acknowledge that it's happening. That's really important.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I mean, in this day and age, it's like, you know, the famous story of being at Perry Farrell's house, where we were supposed to talk about Brian Eno, and all he wanted to talk about what was going on in the world, and that with with
Yeah.
now the current president, but this is 2019, 2020, and it was like. Yeah, and I said to him, I was like, "How much are you watching?" Like, and he's like, "All day long. It's all I can
Well,
watch."
it starts repeating, and you do have to have some, literacy, some like digital literacy and you know, watch the news and listen from different sources and things like that. But I do think it's really important to stay on top of it. I also do love Brian Eno. So,
Yeah,
um,
well, good to know. You'll come. Actually, I don't know if we have any more
music
Brian
for
Eno records.
airports, music for airports.
I
I
mean,
listen to that so
Legend.
much. Oh my
yeah,
god.
So good.
it was so funny. I remember, I feel like I've told this story, but such a great one is that we go outside at his backyard to smoke a joint, and I'm like, "How much are you watching, man?" He goes, "I can't turn it off. Just CNN, MSNBC all day long." And I was like, "Dude, you got to turn it off. Do what you can, to help the world. You got a good platform, but just try your best to not watch it," because I did, and it just killed me. And then once I turned it off, I got a lot happier. And he goes, "Thank you. Do you want to go jump on my trampoline?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, let's go."
He's a character. I like
I
him
have
a
a
lot.
picture of him. See if I
Oh
can
god, I
find
love
it.
their record too. Nothing's shocking. Ugh,
Yeah,
love that the other day.
we've stayed in touch. We're buddies. It's I'm hopefully he's doing okay right now. I haven't talked to him in a while. But he that whole
Yeah.
situation, it's like we talked about the excess of the world. It's like being a rock star. It's, I just watched or just read that book about the Black Crows that written by the
Oh, I
drummer,
haven't read
and
that
it's
yet.
like, oh my god, is it good? It's so
Yeah.
good. But you talk about the dysfunction and being a rock star. It's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
See if you guys can see this. So here's me and
Oh,
Perry.
yes. Oh my
It's
god,
you
on the
on the
tramp.
trampoline.
Wait, that's
Tramp.
the wrong one.
Yeah, I saw the tramp one. That's awesome. Is it an
Here's
in-ground? I love in-ground trampolines.
uh, there's us just smoking a joint,
Nice.
and I love
Perfect.
it. So cool. All right, back to final track on the record.
Well,
Well,
in the
which it isn't, but it's
right.
on the one that we talked about, watching the detectives. Which,
Love
yeah,
that.
man, thoughts on it? What do you want to
I
say?
did a cover of that with my friend Dan Seiden
Oh,
in college did it, and I sung it with him, and I was so excited. I wish I could figure out how to play it well, on my own, but I love it. It's like somebody's literally watching the detectives on TV, but they're also in it. Just the storytelling, again, the kind of, I don't know if it's like ska slash reggae kind of slow open sound with the instruments, how it's arranged. It's unbelievable. And uh how he fits in the word cute. It's so cute. Don't get cute. Um oh my god, the song.
Yeah, dude, it rules. It rules. Morty's
And the
writing something.
guitar. It's funny, I associate that sound of the guitar with Elvis Costello, but I don't know if he played it. But it's like the sinister sounds of guitar on this record and on a lot of his records. It's very sinister, actually.
Hmm.
But I like that.
I love that. I love that you think that.
this was inspired by the Clash's first album,
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
right?
That totally makes sense now that I think of it. Of course. Yeah,
All
Before
right,
he
so where
became a
are we?
musician. Before he became a professional musician, at least he
of
wrote the
course.
song.
While this wasn't included on the original album and doesn't feature Clover, it was added to the end of side one on the American version. This actually features some of the players from Nick Lowe's earlier band, Brinsley Schwartz, as well as his newly recruited Attractions keyboardist, Steve Naive. I think that's how you say it. Yeah.
Is it
What a great name.
Naive or Neve?
He has it written. It's Nieve, pronounced Na. Then like the Motley Crue. What do you call those?
Umlaut.
Umleds. Ive. So I'm assuming that's
Naive?
naive. Yeah, I
Huh,
mean,
I thought it was Steve.
Steve Neve. What a great name.
But yeah,
That's my
see.
question.
This is
I'm
one of the
kidding.
songs like it has such a long intro. And then the bass and the drums have already been playing for a while. Like, how would this sound? Like, how does he do it when he plays it? I mean, I'm sure I could find it somewhere, but that it just lays out the carpet for him to.
Yeah,
The intro really gets you there, and
no, it
I'm
does.
curious how he does that as a performer without the band.
No idea. But although Elvis wrote this year earlier based on the old black and white detective movies that would play on television, he was also inspired after hearing the Clash's, like we said, first album, which he initially hated the sound of. What is something of you, what is something that you have completely changed your earlier opinion about?
Gosh, there's probably so many things. That's too big of a question. I need more coffee. That's like such a huge question. I was thinking
know.
about how he had the word fingers in this song, and he also has the fingers in the My Aim Is True. The fingers are in the cake, and here they're in the lake. But or she's filing her fingers as they her nails as they drag in the lake. Her nails, fingers and nails. Oh my gosh, there's so many things that chickpeas. I used to not like them. Now I eat them a lot.
in
Um,
chickpea form or in hummus form?
All the forms.
Hummus.
Hummus. I prefer the chickpea form and the roasted chickpea form. I don't know. It's a big question.
It's a big question, and don't worry about it. Like we've done so much, and I've already feel like we're past the point of no return. I just that's how the album wraps up. It's
And it's fast. It's short.
it is.
It feels very short.
It's his favorite song. That's what it says. It's his favorite song from his first 5 years of his career. He later performed the song with a big band arrangement, which he admitted was a desecration to people who love the tenseness of the original recording, but it's saying that the song that's going on and the musical allusions in the original arrangements relate very much to the realization of this song as an orchestral piece using the film music feeling and swing rhythms of 50s detective shows. Yeah, I think it's a great way to end the record. I really do. I the first couple times I listened to it, I never listened to this one, and then I had to, go back and only really got to listen to this today. And then when you listen to it as a whole, it's like, no, I really enjoy that this is how he ends the record.
I was surprised it was last on the record, actually, when I was going back to listen to it, because I think of it as one of the central songs of the record, but that's because I like it so much. And it actually doesn't fit well at the very end, but I'm glad it's on the record. This is a good example of tacking on an extra song. Okay, this is a good example of something I've changed on. They tacked the song on at the end of the album. It shouldn't be there, but I'm really glad it's there.
So it says Morty wrote one thing. While Clover was the backing band for this record, by the time Elvis toured, he had the Attractions as his band. They went on to be one of the most enduring and beloved bands in rock and roll. Obviously, we know what happened to Clover a few years after this album when they came back to America. Although they had a singer as well as a harmonica player, neither of them were needed for the Costello sessions. But when they got back to America, a harmonica player became the lead singer, and they became a pretty enduring and beloved band as well when they changed their name to Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh, yeah, but Huey Lewis didn't sing on the record, I read. Right?
No, but,
But I know, that's crazy.
Know.
That's like his
Isn't
band.
that cool?
Yeah, that's super cool.
It's the power of love. What can I ask you a question? This is totally off topic because I would love to meet Huey Lewis. What musician or person through your career have you met, that you found out was a fan?
Oh,
everybody?
Elton John? No, not the fan part.
Ooh.
Elton John. I'm a huge fan of Elton John, and when I met him, he asked me about my new record. He was so sweet. There's other people who aren't necessarily fans, but who I've met, who I was really excited about. Like I met Huey Lewis, he was very nice. Who else is a fan? I don't know, but I remember Elton John. That was really cool.
That's
But
so
I've
rad.
met some of my heroes. So many of my heroes, from David Bowie to
Oh,
um, Ricky Lee Jones. I love Elvis Costello, Burt Bacharach. I got to write with Burt Bacharach.
wow.
Very
The
cool.
bird.
I know. Um, it's
You
just,
won
the
and
list
you won
goes
a
on and on.
Grammy, man. You've won a
Yeah,
Grammy. Like that's awesome. Where do you keep the Grammy?
it's right there in the picture of it's right behind
Ooh.
me.
Ooh,
Oh,
I
I
see
see
it.
I know. I put it over there. My kids were like, "Where'd you put it?" I was like, "I guess I should put it out somewhere."
It's
Yeah,
well hidden
dude.
enough,
Over there.
though. You're not bragging
It's
over
right
the top.
there. I know, it's like in front of my face, like a Magritte painting.
I love it.
The apple.
Jer, is there anything we got to talk about that we missed? I mean, I feel like we between
I saw
our
Elvis Costello. I've met Elvis Costello.
tell us, yeah, tell
How
us
was
I
that.
that?
got
Yeah.
to see him a few times. It was very exciting. I met him. My sister and I went to go see his show in New York City at the something, I don't know where, the Beacon or someplace, and we got to go backstage. I was wearing this little cute Betsy Johnson little dress with my big
Mhm.
platform shoes from Japan, and um, I feel like his wife at the time kept turning around and looking at us. I don't think she was very happy to see us there. I think we looked like tarts, even though we were just like young people in our 20s wearing very
Yeah.
short dresses, but that's just what we wore. But we got to meet him backstage, and then I met him again at like a airport lounge, like American Airlines
Mhm.
lounge. And I said hello and, "Oh, great to see you." "Oh, yes, of course." So he was
Mhm.
very like, "Yeah, of course." And then and I met him one more time. I think one more time, maybe more. I believe I only met him one more time, which was with Burt Bacharach. They were doing a Q&A town hall meeting at Sirius XM, and I was there, and I was like, "I want to go see that." So I went to go see it, and we took our photos together. I think he seemed like not super excited to talk to me, but then Burt Bacharach was being super nice. So then
Yeah.
he was kind of a little bit nicer too.
I love that. And
But I'm a
please do us
huge fan of, I don't care. Like, I'm a huge fan of Elvis Costello. Did not surprise me that he's like a little, or at least with me, he would have been a little curmudgeonly.
Mhm.
He just seems like that guy. He's that guy. He's like very, the way he writes his lyrics, everything's so pointed. He's very precise. He's focused. He's
I know,
angry
I get
man,
it.
angry young
Please
man.
please do us a favor if you don't mind when we post the artwork for this, which it's going to be you, our artist,
Yeah.
Nick, Young and Sick. We're so lucky to have him um, at Young and Sick. For everybody that wants to see his work, he's going to be drawing you on the album cover. And
Oh, cool.
so please send us a picture, or JT or your publicist, whoever we can get in touch, the picture of you with Elvis, so we can put
Oh,
that with that. If you don't mind, I think the fans
it's
would
funny
love
too.
that.
I've done a bunch of shots. It's funny, my last round of photo shoots, there was one picture um, that reminds me of an Elvis Costello shot. We made sure that the guitar was really in the foreground.
Mhm.
It's this one. Here, I'm showing you on my this one.
Oh, I dig it. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Very, very
That
Elvis
is
Costello.
very, yeah, it is. That's rad. You
I
look
love
great
it.
there.
Anyway, I was
You're a
always
rock
thinking
star,
about that.
dude.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
when you got to get your picture taken with your guitar, you got to figure something
what do
out
you?
to
Yeah, you
do.
never know what to do, but you
I know.
nailed it. You
The
nailed
guitar
it.
neck does not fit. The headstock does not fit in the same frame as your face in a
Yeah,
shot. It just doesn't
it doesn't.
geometrically make sense. Yeah.
In 2003, Elvis was awarded the ASCAP Founders Award and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the Attractions. In '07, My Aim is True was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Costello was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2016 and was appointed Officer of the Order of the British Empire in 2019. His
Jeez.
impact can be is phenomenal. Bruce Springsteen has said that Elvis Costello made in the press. Hold on. He has said that comments Costello made in the press criticizing Springsteen's earlier songs as overly romantic led Springsteen to write darker songs in his '78 record, Darkness on the Edge of Town. And Tom York of Radiohead has called Blood and Chocolate the album that made me change the way I thought about recording and writing music and lyrics. We have Liz Flair, Suzanne Vega, Judd Apatow, so many people, Brett Easton Ellis. And I think this is it. This is the second of 4 times we're going to be talking about Elvis on the 500. Like we said, Dana did at 475 back in 2019, Armed Forces. Then we have up next in 2 weeks. Oh my God, we have another record in 2 weeks. Elvis Costello and the Attractions. We have Imperial Bedroom from 92.
That's a good
and
one.
The 78 album, This Year's Model, comes in the top 100. That's crazy.
This year's model. Yeah. That's another great one.
And
these are all great.
On the 2020 re-rank, this album fell to number 430 and This Year's Model to 121, while the other two albums didn't make the cut. So,
well, a lot of us love it. And even my band members, the guys in my original 9 Stories band, those are some of their favorite, especially bass player Joe Quigley and the drummer John Feinberg. I believe they're both really influenced by Elvis Costello too. So it all comes around.
It all comes around, and I can't thank you enough for coming on. This was really fun.
Thank you so much.
Fun. Oh, it's my pleasure. We still have to do our final questions. But quick, don't worry.
I have to go interview Paula Cole in like 10 minutes.
We'll be done in 2 seconds. Don't worry.
Okay.
Oh, dude, Paula Cole, like, where did all the cowboys go?
Yeah, exactly. Paula Cole.
That's what I'm going to do for the final 10 minutes. I'm just going to sing Paula.
Where have all the cowboys gone? But anyway, Leah.
All right.
That doesn't sound right. Okay.
I don't know lyrics. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right.
Okay.
What's your favorite song on this record?
Oh, Watching the Detectives is my favorite song on the album.
Is there anything on this that you skip over?
I don't skip over. It's too fast. Everything goes by too fast. And like I said, each song supports the next. I like listening in sequence.
Dig it. Can you fuck to this record?
Whoa. I mean, there's no limits.
There isn't. That's true. But would this be a record that, I mean,
there are no limits, okay?
Yeah. Okay. Leave it at that. Rock and roll.
Anything in moderation.
Anything in moderation. What would be your elevator pitch to get someone to listen to this record, Lisa?
Like
if you had to sum this up.
This is one of my favorite records. I would just say this is one of my favorite. This is an amazing record. The lyrics and the band performance are above and beyond. I can't pitch something. I'd just be like, hey, here's a coffee. Sit and listen to this.
Yeah, I think what you got to say, which
you're
is
really
perfect,
cool. You're not cool if you don't know this record.
No,
Threaten them?
There's threaten, please. There's something very cool about Elvis Costello, especially even when you see it. Like you look at the guy and you be like, oh, this guy's a dork. And you're like, nah, man, he's a rock star. He's punk rock. You know, I think he changed the game. I think not just like.
It's funny. I'm a generation where like I see him and I'm like, oh, he should be, he must be cool. Like I don't think like a dork. I think like cool.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like if it's just
it's like Weezer. He's making, it's a thing.
Exactly. Lisa, this was phenomenal. Please promote away. What do you have going on? We'll do it at the beginning as well, but tell everybody.
I have a new album called That's What It's All About that I made with the Hollow Trees. You can see videos on the official Lisa Loeb YouTube channel and find the music wherever you find your music. I've got a lot of new songs on there too that you might not have heard before. Even if you like my song Stay, I Missed You, I believe you will enjoy it. And I've got a daily radio show on Sirius XM 90s on 9, as well as an interview series called Where They Are Now on Sirius XM 90s on 9. So you can find that all wherever you listen to Sirius XM.
Phenomenal.
This is great. Thank you so much for coming on, Lisa. Thank
you so much, you guys. I appreciate it.